Hello and welcome to the program called Saints of the Day. My name is Brother China Nkonde. Today we are going to look at two saints, Saint Blaise and Saint Ansgar. Let us take a closer look at these saints and see what it is that we can learn from the resources of their lives. Stay tuned and let's traverse together. We are looking at Saint Ansgar. Saint Ansgar was a bishop. So Saint Ansgar was a bishop of Hamburg. He is also the patron saint of Scandinavia, Denmark, Sweden, and various parts of Germany. He lived between the year 801 and 865 AD. Around this time, around the world, this is when most of the empires were being formed. Saint Ansgar was a monk, a Benedictine monk. He was born into a noble Germanic family in the town of Amiens, modern-day France. His mother died when he was 5, and his father sent him to live in the Benedictine monastery of Kobe. That is where he received his early education. As a boy, he was never serious with his faith and was always joking around with the boys until one night he had a vision of Mother Mary, his mother, and other women reprimanding him over his behavior, that his behavior was childish. From this time on, he became serious. When he became serious, in his teens, he had a vision of Jesus who told him in a clear voice saying, "Go and return to me crowned with martyrdom." In 822, at the age of 21, Ansgar professed as a monk. He was sent to modern-day Germany as a missionary to help start the Abbey of Kobe. From there, he continued to move north into then pagan territory of modern-day Denmark. In 829, he was sent further north into Sweden to preach and win over converts to Christianity. In 831, Ansgar was named Archbishop of Hamburg, which was a new diocese in northern Germany. He was tasked to send missionaries into what is modern-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. His works include building churches in the new diocese. He built hospitals, schools, and endured wars, invasions, and the confiscation of his churches. He was always threatened by pagans and Vikings. Nevertheless, still reached out to the poor. He offered himself sacrificially to God in unwavering evangelization. Saint Ansgar died at the age of 64. He was not martyred in blood, but he laid his life down for others, carrying heavy crosses of mortification, which he regularly did. He also regularly fasted on bread and water. In a sense, he wore the crown of martyrdom as per vision and instruction from Jesus by unwavering evangelization, tireless administration, courageous travels into hostile territories, and fidelity to his monastic calling. Suffering from intestinal infection, he often quoted Job chapter 2 verse 10, saying, "If we accept good from God, must we not accept sorrow too?" He would also pray, "O God, be merciful to me, a sinner." Luke chapter 8 verse 13. He was declared a saint by Pope Nicholas I around 865. That is the life of Saint Ansgar. What is our reflection? 1. Tireless evangelization, converting pagans and risking his life. In this, his motive was pure. It was simply to convert people. He was genuinely looking forward to evangelizing and bringing more people to Christ. What do we see today? Today, the message of evangelization, the message of converting souls, the message of going into places where the gospel is little known has become uncommon. What has become common practice is mostly the preachings about what powers, what miracles, what money we can get if we align ourselves in a certain way according to the Christian life. Evangelization, in its pure motive, is slowly diminishing. The second is that he was founding or starting churches. At this time, we must understand that Christianity was still growing. Probably, there were not so many people in the churches because there was a lot of resistance. It was hard even to just start a building, like a building that is called church, in a hostile territory like the places that he would go to. Today, setting up churches has been made very easy, thanks to the blood of these same martyrs that watered our faith and made us rich up to today. Now, because there are so many churches, founders are now competing for members, to the extent that some of them would fabricate miracles, as we have seen. Others would play tricks on the people that go to church by conniving with the ushers who get certain information about them and relate to the pastor or relate to the preacher who pretends that he didn't know anything and then says one or two things to them. It is more of make-believe. In the quest for numbers, with a motive that is not pure, in the quest for numbers and not souls, many are ready to go to greater extents that we actually didn't know people could go. Not so long ago, we heard of a situation here in Zambia of a person who was claiming to be a woman of God and yet had a skeleton somewhere. That is the extent to which the numbers now matter, because people want to hear prophecy. They want to be told. They want miracles. They want power. What about evangelization? What about just reaching out to soul and bringing them to Christ? We ask ourselves, how did we get here? The extent that the people who should have been leading us in faith found with things that would be criminal. How far has this movement of prophecy where people move and travel to countries to go and hear. How far has it taken us? To a certain extent, I blame us. I blame us as a generation for always looking for prophecy. We are always looking to our priests, to our pastors, to say something to us from God. Sometimes we do not know that we give them pressure to tell us something. Or if they don't tell us something, then we would leave the church or maybe change parish. We reflect today. What happened to just going to church and earnestly seeking the face of God? What happened to praying earnestly and reading the Bible in spirit? To access the personal revelations and what God is saying to us. It is a lack of faith being demonstrated differently. Even Jesus turned down those who were asking for prophecy and signs of proof. It is lack of faith, because where faith is, you do not need to see every step. You do not need to know everything in the future. Have just to believe and know that we are aligned with God. Today, in an unwavering spirit of Ansgar, evangelize, let us have pure intentions and seek out the souls and not merely numbers. Our second saint is Saint Blaise. Saint Blaise was a bishop and a martyr. He was a bishop of a place called Sebaste in Armenia, modern day Turkey. He died in 316 AD. The exact date of birth is not known. This was around 300 years after the death of Christ. That can be an explanation as to why the date of birth was not known. It's because at this time, Christianity had just begun to be tolerated in the Roman Empire. So, the date of birth may not be known of our saint. Further, little is known about Saint Blaise comparatively. Other saints we might know, and we know a lot more. However, among the things that are known is that he lived in a town called Sebaste in Armenia, in modern day Turkey. He is first mentioned by Itas Menidus, a medical writer, who spoke of the power of intercession with Saint Blaise to help unlodge objects stuck in the throat. Saint Blaise was a bishop, but not exactly in the sense that we know of it today, because at this time there was no congregational church. He was given the responsibility of the people of Sebaste by popular acclaim. And so, at this time, the church, not having the current form, considers Saint Blaise as a bishop. Blaise was an excellent physician in his hometown. As a youth, he studied many of the great philosophers of the time. Legend has it that Blaise was a man of great faith and virtue, caring for his people in both body and soul. Many came to him for physical healing as a medical doctor, a physician, but also received many miracles. Legend also has it that despite the Edict of Milan in 318 AD, by Constantine I and Licinius, the governor of Cappadocia, in 316 AD, began to arrest and kill Christians. Blaise was one of those Christians killed. While on his way to jail, Blaise saved a boy choking on a fishbone. He miraculously rescued an animal that was attacked by a predator. And the owner of the animal, a woman, later brought St. Blaise 2 wax candles for lighting the jail cell where he was. It is why the blessing of the throat is done with 2 candles. When he was asked by the governor of Cappadocia to renounce his Christian faith, he refused. He was ripped apart by metal combs used to comb wool and then beheaded. Today, St. Blaise is the patron saint of wool combers because of the legend of his torture. During the bubonic plague, commonly referred to as the Black Death, that ravaged Europe, Asia, and North Africa between the years 1346 to 1353, claiming as many lives as 25 million, many Catholics prayed fervently in a new devotion to the 14 holy helpers. These 14 were powerful intercessors, especially to cure illnesses. St. Blaise was one of the interceding saints. He is the patron saint of diseases of the throat. He is also the patron saint of animals. This is what we know about the life of our saint, St. Blaise. Our reflection. Jesus said, "Greater love has no one than he who lays down his life for a friend." Meaning, the greatest love that we can show to our fellow humanity, the greatest love we can show to our cause or whatever cause we're committed to, is to lay down our life for that cause. Martyrdom, which St. Blaise suffered, is one reality that we meet in the lives of saints. Their witness to Christ led them to death by the powers that be. Let us meditate on how far we are willing to go in being witnesses to Christ in our times. Certainly today, or at least in Zambia, no one will want to take your life or my life because we are Christians. But I often ask myself, if it came to it, would I accept to die physically for the sake of Christ? In that moment, I hesitate, and I see how far I might have wandered from the life of sacrifice. I ask myself, how comfortable have I become with Christianity? And I challenge myself as to how little I want to sacrifice of myself, even to the extent of simply waking up early for prayer and to have better communion with God. Today, the greatest threat to Christianity is not the threat of physical death. It is the death of the inner vitality, the death of the hunger for God, the death of the fellowship with Christ, the death of the longing to listen to the Holy Spirit. These are the things that are dying today. We compromise today almost everything in order not to feel the discomfort of sacrifice. We look back, we can see that it has been a slow fade. The inner life of fellowship with God is what gave the early Christians like St. Blaise the courage and the assurance that they are not wasting their lives even if their life is taken. Rather, that they are finally uniting with the one with whom they have been communicating in prayer. And this is what is missing in today's Christianity. The complacency, the laxity, and the comfort stand to rob us of the life of God. Let us be careful not to become too comfortable with our Christian faith. From time to time, let us challenge ourselves to be a little bit more committed, a little bit more prayerful, a little bit more outgoing, as we saw in the life of the previous saint. Finally, in our church, we have great spiritual resources that we don't utilize. These spiritual resources are the lives of saints. Many of us forget or are unaware of the great spiritual resources that we have through the intercession of saints. We can ask the intercession of St. Blaise for illnesses affecting the throat and believe that God will grant us the healing. But St. Blaise is one of the 14 mentioned at the time of the Black Death. We can try and find the other 13. Apart from illness, there are patron saints, even for people who have lost important articles. We wish that those articles be found. There are intercessors and saints for travelers, for workers, for pregnant mothers, for cancer patients, for almost everything that life and living meets us with. We can take time to know some of these saints today. So today, I've known of St. Blaise as far as healing is concerned. Dear viewers, as we have come to the end of today's program, which is the Saints of the Day, I wish to thank you for staying and listening and paying attention and traversing together through the lives of the saints. Be sure that we shall meet again on the next program as we look at another saint, or as we look at another set of saints according to the liturgical calendar that Mother Church has provided and has given to us. Till then, have a blessed day.